The rain pounded against the window of the small coffee shop in downtown Seattle. But inside, the air was thick with the aroma of fresh espresso and unspoken tension. Mary Thompson sat across from her best friend, her heart racing as she finally uttered the words she'd buried for years. "I'm in love with a woman," she confessed, her voice barely above a whisper, watching as her friend's eyes widened in shock, the steam from their cups curling like the doubts twisting in Mary's mind. Esther Nguyen had entered Mary's life like a quiet storm 6 months earlier, during a community art class at the local center. Mary, a 28-year-old graphic designer with a penchant for bold colors and hidden vulnerabilities, had noticed Esther immediately. The way her dark hair fell in soft waves, her focused gaze on the canvas, painting abstracts that seemed to mirror the chaos Mary felt inside. Esther, 26, was a software engineer from a strict Vietnamese-American family, her life mapped out with expectations of marriage, children, and cultural obedience. Their first conversation was innocuous, about brush strokes and color theory, but it ignited something deeper, a connection that made Mary question everything she'd known about herself. As weeks passed, stolen glances turned into late-night texts, and soon, they were meeting outside class, walking along the Puget Sound, sharing stories of their upbringings. Mary came from a liberal family in Portland, where acceptance was preached but rarely tested. Esther's parents, immigrants who clung to traditions, viewed anything outside heteronormativity as a betrayal. "I can't tell them," Esther had whispered one evening, her hand brushing Mary's under the table at a dimly lit bar. "It would destroy them." Mary nodded, understanding the weight, but inside she seethed. Why must love hide? The internal conflict gnawed at her. Was she pushing too hard? Or was Esther's fear a wall she'd never breach? Their relationship deepened in secrecy, moments of joy stolen in apartments away from prying eyes. Mary would lie awake, replaying Esther's laughter, wondering if this was enough. But doubts crept in. Esther's hesitation to introduce her as more than a friend, the way she flinched at public affection. One night, after a heated argument about visibility, Mary stormed out, her mind racing. Am I just a phase for her? Or is this the price of loving someone chained by family? The next day, Esther showed up at Mary's door, tears streaming, promising change. "I love you," she said, pulling Mary into an embrace that felt like home. Yet, even as they reconciled, Mary couldn't shake the unease. The societal whispers, the fear of judgment from colleagues, the internal battle between self-acceptance and the world's rejection. As months blurred, their bond strengthened through small acts. Cooking meals together, sharing dreams of a future unbound by norms. But Esther's family loomed large. Her mother's calls about potential suitors, her father's lectures on duty. Esther's inner turmoil was a constant storm. How could she honor her heritage while claiming her truth? The pressure built, leading to sleepless nights where she questioned her identity. Am I betraying my roots for selfish desire? Mary, sensing the strain, tried to be patient, but her own frustrations mounted. Why can't she fight for us? The turning point came at a family gathering Esther couldn't avoid. She invited Mary as a friend, but the evening unraveled when Esther's cousin made a homophobic joke, and Esther laughed along to blend in. Mary felt the sting like a slap. Excusing herself to the bathroom where she stared at her reflection, tears welling. Is this love, or am I complicit in my own erasure? Driving home, silence hung heavy between them. I had to, Esther murmured. You don't understand. But Mary did, too well. The argument that followed exposed raw wounds. Esther's fear of disownment, Mary's resentment of invisibility. They parted that night with promises to try harder, but the seed of doubt had taken root. Weeks later, Esther's parents announced a visit, forcing her to distance herself. Texts went unanswered, calls diverted. Mary paced her apartment, heart-aching. Has she chosen them over me? The isolation fueled her introspection. Perhaps she was naive to think love could conquer cultural divides. When Esther finally reached out, it was with apologies and a plea for understanding. They met in a park, where Esther confessed her panic. I feel like I'm splitting in two. Mary held her, whispering assurances, but inside, she wondered if this duality would destroy them both. As the first file of their story closes, the tension simmers, unspoken betrayals lurking just beneath the surface, setting the stage for deeper conflicts ahead. The autumn leaves crunched underfoot as Mary and Esther walked through Volunteer Park, their hands intertwined for the first time in public, a small victory amid growing storms. It had been 2 months since the family dinner fiasco, and Esther had made efforts, small ones like mentioning Mary more in conversations with friends, testing the waters of openness. But Mary's patience was wearing thin. She craved acknowledgement, not fragments. "When will you tell them?" Mary asked one evening as they sat on Esther's couch, a documentary playing unnoticed. Esther stiffened, her mind flashing to her parents' faces, her mother's proud smile at community events, her father's stern reminders of filial piety. "Soon," she lied, hating the word even as it escaped. The lie festered, turning into avoidance. Esther buried herself in work, coding late into the night to escape the guilt. Mary noticed the distance, interpreting it as rejection. Am I not worth the risk? Her own family dynamics added fuel. Her liberal parents had accepted her coming out with hugs and support, making Esther's hesitation feel like a personal affront. One weekend, Mary attended a pride event alone, surrounded by couples unafraid, and the envy burned. "Why can't we have that?" She texted Esther photos hoping to inspire, but received curt replies. The rift widened when Esther's brother visited unexpectedly. Panicking, she asked Mary to stay away, claiming a family-only weekend. Mary agreed outwardly, but inside rage boiled. "Am I your dirty secret?" She spent the days wandering Seattle's streets, questioning her self-worth. Perhaps she should end it, spare herself the pain. But love clung stubbornly, memories of Esther's vulnerability pulling her back. When the brother left, Esther invited Mary over, sensing the chill. "I'm sorry," she said, pulling Mary close. Their reconciliation was tender, but fragile, laced with unspoken resentments. As winter approached, societal pressures intensified. At work, Mary overheard colleagues gossiping about a co-worker's same-sex wedding. Some supportive, others judgmental. It mirrored her fears. Would coming out cost Esther her job in a conservative tech firm? Esther, meanwhile, faced her own battles. A family dinner where her aunt pressed about boyfriends, her evasion drawing suspicious glances. That night alone, Esther wept. How can I choose between love and blood? The conflict peaked at a holiday party. Esther invited Mary, introducing her vaguely as my close friend. But when a drunk guest flirted with Mary, Esther's jealousy flared, leading to a whispered argument in the kitchen. "You act like I'm nothing," Mary hissed. Esther shot back. "You don't get the stakes." They left separately, the drive home for Mary a blur of tears and doubt. Is this sustainable? Days of silence followed, each woman wrestling with demons. Mary considered therapy, admitting her codependency. Esther journaled, outlining pros and cons like a program debug. Reconciliation came via a heartfelt letter from Esther, admitting her cowardice and vowing therapy. They met at their favorite cafe, tears mixing with coffee. "I want to fight for us," Esther said. Mary nodded, hope flickering but wary. Words are easy, actions define. As they navigated forward, external forces intruded. Esther's parents announced a surprise visit for Christmas, demanding she host and bring a nice boy. Panic set in. Esther contemplated lies, but Mary urged truth. The debate raged. "They'll disown me," Esther cried. "And you'll lose me if you don't," Mary countered. The standoff exposed moral quandaries. Was forcing disclosure ethical or coercive? Esther's choice loomed, a precipice of betrayal. In the end, she opted for deception, inviting a male friend as a decoy. Mary learned of it accidentally, via overheard call, and the pain was visceral. "She's choosing facade over us." Confrontation ensued in Esther's apartment, voices raised. "How could you?" Mary demanded. Esther defended. "It's temporary." But Mary saw it as surrender. She left, slamming the door, her heart shattering. Have I been fooling myself? The separation stretched, each day a torment of what ifs. Esther's guilt consumed her, leading to a breakdown at work. Mary threw herself into art, channeling pain into canvases of fractured hearts. Yet love's pull remained, drawing them toward an inevitable clash. Snow blanketed Seattle as Mary stared at her phone, Esther's name flashing with a message. "We need to talk." It had been 3 weeks since the blow-up over the decoy date. 3 weeks of radio silence that felt like eternity. Mary hesitated, her thumb hovering. Part of her wanted to delete, move on. Another craved closure. She agreed to meet at a neutral spot, a quiet bookstore cafe, where the scent of old pages mingled with fresh wounds. Esther arrived looking haggard, eyes red from sleepless nights. "I ended it," she said immediately, no preamble. "The lie, the decoy. I told my parents I wasn't interested in men that way." Mary's heart leaped, then crashed. "What did they say?" Esther's voice cracked. "They were devastated. Mom cried, Dad shouted about shame." The revelation hung heavy. Esther had taken the plunge, but at what cost? Flashbacks tormented her. The family dinner turning into an interrogation, her confession met with silence, then accusations of Western corruption. "You're throwing away your future," her father bellowed. Esther had stood firm, but inside doubt ravaged. "Am I selfish for this?" Mary reached across the table, grasping her hand. "I'm proud of you." But pride mixed with guilt. Had her pressure pushed Esther too far? Their reunion was bittersweet, laced with the aftermath. Esther moved out temporarily, crashing with a friend to escape the home tension. Daily calls from relatives flooded in, pleading, threatening disinheritance. Society's gaze amplified the strain, whispers at temple gatherings, judgmental stares from community elders. Esther's inner monologue was relentless. Is love worth this exile? Mary, supportive outwardly, battled her own demons. What if she resents me? As they rebuilt, intimacy returned cautiously, but shadows lingered. A pivotal moment came when Mary's work hosted a diversity seminar. She invited Esther, who attended hesitantly. Hearing stories of others' struggles ignited something in Esther, a spark of solidarity. Yet, post-event, a heated debate arose. "You think it's easy for me?" Esther snapped, resenting Mary's seemingly seamless acceptance. Mary retorted, "I fought my battles too." The argument exposed layers. Mary's hidden insecurities from high school bullying, Esther's cultural isolation. They parted angry, but reflection brought understanding. Esther apologized first, admitting envy. Mary confessed impatience. The makeup deepened their bond, but fate twisted again. Esther's job offered a promotion, with relocation to San Francisco. Excitement warred with fear. Move together or apart? Mary encouraged but internally panicked. What if distance unravels us? Esther weighed ethics. Abandon family further or stagnate? She accepted, proposing they cohabitate. Mary's joy was tempered by practicality. Your parents? Esther shrugged. They'll have to deal. The move symbolized commitment, but packing unearthed tensions. Discovering old letters from Esther's ex-boyfriend, a family-approved match, Mary felt betrayed. You kept these. Esther explained they were mementos of a forced past, but Mary stormed out. Am I just rebellion? Reconciliation demanded vulnerability. Esther burned the letters, symbolizing closure. Settling in San Francisco brought fresh challenges. New city, new prejudices, subtle microaggressions at Esther's firm, where diversity was touted but not lived. A colleague's offhand comment about those lifestyles stung, prompting Esther to speak up, earning respect but isolation. Mary's freelance work flourished, but loneliness crept in during Esther's long hours. Internal conflicts peaked during a visit from Mary's parents, who embraced Esther warmly. Envy hit Esther hard. Why can't mine be like this? The evening ended in tears, Esther confiding her losses. Mary held her but wondered, can I fill that void? As spring bloomed, a betrayal surfaced. Esther's mother called Mary secretly, pleading to let her go, offering bribes. Mary refused, but the intrusion shattered trust. Why didn't Esther warn me? Confrontation revealed Esther's knowledge and silence, fearing escalation. I was protecting us, she claimed. Mary saw it as cowardice. Lies again. The fight escalated, doors slamming, words like daggers. Separation loomed, each questioning choices. Was coming out a mistake? Or the secrecy before? In the aftermath, therapy sessions uncovered patterns. Esther's avoidance rooted in trauma. Mary's demands and abandonment fears. Progress was slow but illuminating. Yet, as they teetered on reconciliation, a family crisis called Esther home. Her father's illness. Duty pulled her back to Seattle, leaving Mary alone pondering. Will she return or succumb to pressure? The distance tested their resolve, Phone calls fraught with emotion. Esther faced her family anew, defending her life amid hospital vigils. "I love her," she declared boldly. Her mother's reluctant nod hinted at cracks in the wall. But the cost was evident: strained relations, emotional exhaustion. Mary, waiting, reflected. Love demands sacrifice, but how much? The San Francisco fog rolled in like the uncertainty clouding Mary's days without Esther. 2 weeks into the separation for her father's care, Esther's updates were sporadic, laced with exhaustion. "He's stable, but the arguments never end," she texted. Mary replied supportively, but inside paranoia festered. Is she slipping back into old patterns? The solitude amplified her introspection, replaying their journey, from stolen moments to bold declarations, wondering if the foundation was solid. Esther, back in Seattle, navigated a minefield. Hospital visits turned into battlegrounds. Her mother whispered pleas to reconsider your choices, while her father, weakened, expressed regret for past harshness. "I just want you happy," he murmured one night. Tears flowed. Relief mixed with resentment. Why now, after the damage? The moral dilemma tore at her. Stay and mend family, or return to love? Society's weight pressed, neighbors' gossip, relatives' cold shoulders. A cousin's wedding invitation arrived, specifying plus traditional guest, a subtle jab. Esther declined, but the isolation stung. Am I paying too dearly? Mary's calls brought solace, but distance bred misunderstandings. A late-night argument over a canceled visit escalated. You prioritize them, Mary accused. Esther retorted. He's dying. The hang-up left both reeling. Mary sought distraction in work, but creativity waned. Friends urged moving on, but loyalty held. Esther's breakthrough came during a family therapy session her mother surprisingly agreed to. Revelations poured. Her parents' fears rooted in immigrant hardships, worries of Esther's loneliness. We thought it was a phase, her mother admitted. Esther countered with stories of her happiness with Mary, humanizing their bond. Cracks appeared. Her father asked to meet Mary. Hope surged, but skepticism lingered. Is this genuine, or manipulation? Returning to San Francisco briefly, Esther shared the developments. Their reunion was passionate, but guarded, Mary's trust frayed by secrets past. No more hiding, Mary demanded. Esther agreed, but internal conflict raged. Can I balance both worlds? As summer heated, a societal storm hit. A local news story about anti-LGBT legislation stirred fears. Protests erupted, drawing them in. Marching together, hands linked, empowered them. But backlash followed. Online trolls targeting Esther after a viral photo. Harassment emails to her work prompted a HR meeting. She stood firm, but the toll was evident. Anxiety attacks, sleepless nights. Mary comforted but blamed herself. Did I drag her into this? The peak came when Esther's promotion was jeopardized by image concerns. Furious, she confronted her boss, exposing bias. Victory came with an apology and retention, but the fight exhausted her. Worth it for authenticity? Mary's support was unwavering, but her own career suffered from distraction. A job offer in New York tempted her. Better pay, fresh start. She confided in Esther, sparking debate. Don't leave me, Esther pleaded. Mary hesitated. Am I sacrificing for her? The decision to decline solidified their commitment, but resentment simmered. Family reconciliation progressed slowly. A video call with Esther's parents was awkward but civil. Mary's warmth won points, but underlying tensions remained. Esther's inner peace grew, yet doubts persisted. Will acceptance ever be full? A betrayal from within struck. Mary's ex-girlfriend, jealous, spread rumors online, twisting their story. Esther discovered it accidentally, confronting Mary. Why didn't you block her? Mary admitted oversight, but the damage was done. Esther's family saw the posts, reigniting doubts. The argument was brutal. Your past haunts us, Esther yelled. Mary countered. Like your lies? Trust fractured anew, leading to a trial separation. Weeks apart, each reflected on damages inflicted. Esther volunteered at an LGBT center, finding community. Mary journaled, uncovering codependency. Reunion felt inevitable but transformed. They met as equals, acknowledging flaws. We've hurt each other, Mary said. Esther nodded. But we've grown. As they rebuilt, external validation came. Esther's parents invited them for dinner. Nervous, they attended. Conversations flowed tentatively, hints of understanding emerging. Yet the evening ended with a paternal warning. Society won't be kind. Esther's resolve hardened. We'll face it together. But the cost tallied. Lost friends, strained careers, emotional scars. Mary pondered, is love's price too high? Golden Gate Bridge loomed in the distance as Mary and Esther drove along the coast, a rare escape from the chaos that had defined their year. Esther's father's recovery brought tentative family peace, but scars lingered. Occasional pointed comments, conditional acceptance. Society's undercurrents persisted. A denied apartment application hinted at discrimination, fueling Esther's activism. She joined support groups, her voice growing bolder, but each step extracted a toll. Exhaustion from rallies, anxiety from confrontations. Mary admired her evolution but internally grappled. Am I holding her back? Their relationship, forged in fire, now simmered with maturity. Dates felt deeper, conversations probing ethics, when to compromise, when to stand. A moral crossroads arose when Esther's cousin, struggling with identity, sought advice. Esther encouraged openness, but hypocrisy gnawed. Did I wait too long? The cousin's coming out sparked family drama, with blame shifting to Esther as influence. Accusations flew. You corrupted her, her aunt screamed. Esther defended fiercely, but doubt crept. Am I the villain? Mary stood by, but the strain tested her limits. Late nights consoling, her own needs sidelined. Resentment built. Why always her family? A professional betrayal compounded woes. Mary's boss, discovering their relationship, passed her over for a project, citing distractions. Outraged, Mary filed a complaint, winning but alienating colleagues. Isolation hit. Friends drifted, weary of the drama. Alone, Mary questioned. Is this the life I want? Esther noticed the withdrawal, prompting a heart-to-heart. We're in this together, she affirmed. Tears flowed as they unpacked damages. Betrayals not just external but mutual. Esther admitted past deceptions eroded trust. Mary confessed pushing too hard. Forgiveness came slowly, through shared therapy, rebuilding brick by brick. As fall returned, a high-stakes decision loomed. Esther's firm offered international relocation to London. Opportunity gleamed, but uprooting meant leaving fragile family ties. Debate raged. It's a fresh start, Esther argued. Mary countered. Or running away. Internal monologues clashed. Esther saw growth. Mary feared abandonment. Ultimately, they declined, choosing stability, but the choice highlighted sacrifices. Career stagnation for love. Society's evolution offered glimmers, legal wins for equality, but personal battles endured. A community event united them, where they shared their story, inspiring others. Yet applause masked pain. The applause doesn't heal the wounds. Climax built when Esther's mother called, apologizing for years of pressure. I see your happiness now, she said. Reconciliation flooded in, but Esther wondered, too late? The emotional high crashed with a final twist. Mary discovered Esther had briefly considered reconnecting with her ex during a low point. A drunken message unsent but saved. Confrontation was raw. How could you doubt us? Mary cried. Esther explained desperation, begging forgiveness. The breach nearly ended them, but reflection revealed mutual faults. Mary's intensity, Esther's indecision. They chose to stay, vowing transparency. As the year closed, they stood stronger, but forever changed, scars as badges of survival. Love prevailed, but at what cost? Damaged relationships mended unevenly. Careers rerouted, psyches tested. In quiet moments, each pondered the path. Right choices or regrettable? The story ends not in resolution, but reflection, leaving one to wonder. In the pursuit of authentic love against societal odds, do the ends truly justify the means?